Hello, Pastor Mike here. For the past few weeks, Pastor Brad has been talking on Sunday mornings about our compass and making sure it's pointed in the right direction. Sitting in church this past Sunday made me think about a perspective that I had on running and what Pastor Brad has been preaching on. I went to college in a small town, and as a runner, there weren't a whole lot of places to run in town, but there was this bike trail going from our small town to an even smaller town, 4 or 5 miles away. So that was where I typically chose to run. When you're running on that trail, there was a very prominent landmark. There was a huge Catholic church in the next town over, that small, tiny little town. So I would start running and I would just stare at that huge church in the distance. And do you know what? It never felt like that church seemed to get any closer. In reality, it was getting closer, but in the flat expanse that is Iowa, you could see that church for miles. After realizing that just staring at that church up ahead wasn't really helping, I decided to change things up. I would run, but focus on just the 10 to 15 feet ahead of me. Anyway, I would glance up at that church every once in a while to make sure, yes, I was still heading in the right direction. So that church was my goal, but I was being aware of my current surroundings. I could have also gotten into a bit of a mess if I didn't look up at all and just focused on that 10 to 15 feet around me without making sure I was actually heading toward the church. Jesus was asked, "What is the greatest commandment?" And in Matthew 22, he said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." And then in Philippians chapter 2, Paul was writing to a church, and he said, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others." So Jesus said, love God. That's the best thing. That's the first commandment. And the second one was to love people around you. And Paul echoes it. Don't look to your own interest. Look to the interests of those who are around you. I want to challenge you in a couple of ways this week. One, is your compass pointed toward God? Do you love Him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength? Is your main purpose on earth to bring Him glory? If it is, that's great. If not, I'd really like to talk with you about that. And the second challenge is, are you on the right path? Are you loving your neighbor as yourself? Are you focusing on that 10 to 15 foot range? Are you focused on those people who are around you? Are you putting others' interests above your own? I'd love to hear from you if on either of those two things. I'd love to hear how your compass is pointed toward God and how you are focusing on loving your neighbors as yourself. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you this week on Wednesday night. We're going to be getting together for Together Time, hanging out, doing that Bible study on finding truth. The video was great last week, and the discussion was great in our small groups. I'm looking forward to that again this week. And also on Saturday, there's going to be a meet and treat for the children, and we're going to be helping out with that. And then following the cleanup of that, we're going to be getting together for a Halloweeny roast. So hot dogs and s'mores. Everything is going to be safely packaged. I'm packaging s'more goodies, so nobody has to dig into a box of crackers or marshmallows. Same thing with the hot dogs. I'm going to be handing those out with gloves. It's going to be a safe and super fun time. So, and that's from 5:15 to 7 o'clock if you want to come to the Halloweeny roast. And we'll see you soon.